So finally, we are now where we stopped the last time. So what are we doing today? So the first thing we want to do today is we go to manage Jenkins, and we want to tell Jenkins, I don't know if we did that the last time, but what we want to do now is we want to tell Jenkins, we want to introduce JIT. I think we did it the last time. JIT, Maven, and Java to Jenkins. So for Java, we say, yeah, we did it. So let me quickly rush through it. We call it my Java. And then we call this Java home. Where is the place where Jenkins will find Java? So if we come here and say Maven -- version, we are going to see that Java is installed here. Okay, C. And then we come here and see anytime you want Java, that is where to get Java. All right. For JIT, does not need introduction. For Maven, we say add Maven, call it my Maven, and then install automatically. Apply, save. Right? I had to rush through that because we already completed it last. All right. So now that we have the tool that Jenkins needs to be able to build code, what do we want to do now? So what we want to do now is deploy our first project. All right. So to deploy our first project, let's do it. To deploy our first project, we come here and we say new project, add new. Let's call this one project 1. And it will be freestyle project. All right. And what do we mean by project? We mean using Jenkins, at least at this elementary level, using Jenkins to build code into artifact. All right. So now let us build the code. To build this code, where is the place where the code is coming from? So we come here and then we say, we scroll down, source code management. The code that we want to build will be coming from JIT. Which repository? Let us go to our GitHub repository. All right. If we go to GitHub, all right. So my GitHub account, what of them is my GitHub? All right. So this is the GitHub account where the developers from across the world are writing their codes to. What's my username and password? Authenticate. Let me check. Send SMS. Let me check for that. Okay, so yes, I've got that. That's 7264. All right, so that is very fine. All right, guys, so this is the repository that has the codes. All right, so which of these many codes developed by my developer and pushed to this repository do I want to build into application, into artifact? Let's try this one. DevOps Basic is a private repository. All right, let's try that. So I'm going to come here and I'll say, take this URL. All right, and then I'll go to Jenkins and tell Jenkins, this is the code that I need you to build into artifact. So I present it here, Control V. Control V. You see it? All right. So now it's telling me I cannot access this repository because it's private repository. You must give me the username and password to access this repository so I can build it for you. So I'm going to say, okay, let me give you the username back. So I come here and I say, Jenkins, this interview question. And then I come here and I say, the username to my repository is theITern. And the password to that my repository, I have it somewhere in this note. Let me go and look for it. So this is it. The username to my repository is that, and this is the password. So I take that one, Control C, and I present to Jenkins. I say, to access that repository and build it, this is the password. All right. And then just call that repository the item. The description, I don't need the description. So I say add. All right. So I've provided the username and password in the file in the ID called theITern. So if I take this one now, that error sign is gone, meaning, oh, now I have the username and password and I'm able to. All right, so fine. And then in case you have more than one branch in the repository, what I need you to do is build the master branch. All right, and then build trigger. What is building this code? We're not there yet. Don't worry about build trigger. Build step. So to build this code, use Maven. So that's why I take Maven. Have you already set up Maven? Yes, I set up Maven using my Maven. And what do? Package. Package means build. Package means build the code. All right? So at this elementary level, I just want to stop there and I say apply my settings and save. So now I have defined the code to be built and I have defined the tool, Maven, to build the code. Now let us build the code. So if I come here and I say build now, Maven is now, in fact, let's click the console and then we can see what is going on in the background. All right. So Maven is now building the code. It's building the code with the use of anyway. So success. It means that the codes that were pulled from that repository, remember the repository, DevOps Basic, has now been successfully built into an artifact. And the name of that artifact is webapp.war. The resultant build from that code is webapp.war. And it is saved here for you. So if you want to see the code, go to this directory in Jenkins and you'll find the file called webapp.war, which is the code, which is the artifact. So you have successfully, for the first time, built code into artifact in Jenkins using the tool Maven. All right. So that's how to build the code. Let's look around and then see the build code. We can take this if we want. We can take this directory, Control C, and go to Jenkins server and say change directory to that place. And then what do we have here? ls-l shows us that we have this file. And amongst all of these files, we see that webapp.war is right there. This is our interest. If we call this a manufacturing process, this is the final product that we are taking from here and that we are moving on to operation. This is what we would ultimately convert to our application, and then we'll now deploy the application to our operation using Docker. All right? Well, this is the artifact. All right? So with this one, you can now say that yes, you have been able to use Jenkins to build Java code. But actually, Jenkins is just the coordinator. The actual tool that does the building is Maven. All right, so let's go back to practicals. What's the next thing we want to do now? Let's go back to project one. Project, let's go down. Where is it? Okay, so quickly, where is this? Project one. Return to Jenkins dashboard. Bear with me. Okay, so let's do another project. So this time I want to deploy a simple freestyle project in Jenkins to show how you may use Jenkins to analyze code and publish and view code analysis report. All right. So this is just building on top of the project we already have. This time, to do this, we need this plugin called Warning. To install plugins in Jenkins, so we'll go back to Jenkins dashboard, and then we say Manage Jenkins, and then we say Install Plugin. All right. So if we go to available plugins and we say warnings, all right, so we'll find this plugin. What does this plugin do? It will collect compiler warnings or issues reported by static analysis tool, and then help you to visualize the result. Let us install that plugin, and then we'll now see what it does. All right, so that plugin is now installed. So let us create another project. Let us go through the node. Still the same DevOps basic. You can use that same project. All right, so come back, and then we say new project. All right, again, well, let's call this project 2, and then again to be freestyle project. And then we are going to say the same project, source code. Take that from the same place where we had earlier on. Let's go back to this place and copy the URL of the code of the repository. So we'll copy from there and we'll come back to Jenkins and present that. All right, so like we did before, we said find the username and keyword. Keep password there. Use that. All right, build trigger, not yet. Build environment, build step, use Maven. Use Maven. And then goal. Goal, we are going to take this goal now. We are going to say clean install. Clean install is the same thing as package. It's just that for clean install, it will do a new install every time you run it. So let's take this command, Control-C, and then put it here. So what does this say? This is saying when you have built the code into artifacts, I need you to check the style of the programming and compare to industry benchmark. Is it good enough? I need you to check the programming mistake detection. Do the programming mistake detection and find bugs in the code. All right. In operations, you may want to use a special tool to do this, like SonarQube, but just to give you an idea of how this works, we want to use Jenkins to demonstrate how it works. All right. So in addition to building the codes, also check the codes for all of this kind of compare the output, at least in visual format, to the benchmark standard. That's what we're saying here. All right. So post build, after building the code, what should Jenkins do? So you come here and you say, after building the code, Jenkins, I need you to do record compiler warnings and static analysis result. Was that not what we saw when we installed the warnings plugin? That's exactly what it's doing. So we take that one and then we say, right now, I am interested in, what are the things I'm interested in? Checkstyle. So for the code, check the style, the writing style of that code. So I take that and I say add to. I'm also interested in programming mistake detect, PND, all right? And then I'm also interested in something else, Checkstyle, PND. What about checkbug? Yeah? What did we call that? Something about, no, sorry, not there. 2, bug. Let me get the name. It's called FindBugs. FindBugs. All right. Okay. So we apply. And what are we saying now? We are saying this time we are not just building the artifact, we're also interested in checking the quality of the code visually. It may not be our work as DevOps engineer to analyze, but whoever is responsible would see that and be able to say, this our code is good, and then it's good enough to go on, or no, it's not meeting best practice according to the report. Let us fine-tune it, correct whatever error there is before moving on. All right, so now we have determined all of that. So we'll now build a new artifact. So we say build now, and we can see right there that it is building. All right? We may want to stay here and watch as the code is building, so that if there's any error, you can say, oh, so right now it's checking PMD, FindBugs, and it's successful. All right, so everything was successfully completed. If you go back to the dashboard now, all right, and then for project 2, you should see that you now have Checkstyle warning, PMD warning, and FindBug warning. So again, it may not be your work, but if you just wanted to see the visual representation of how the code is behaving compared to industry benchmark, like we said, we can take it in deeper look, right? So the coders or the developers may want to take a look here and say, what do you mean to Java doc? What's there? Let's see. And then you can take a look there and then take a look here and then find out what the error is. And then, okay, I should have, then they can correct now. Or sometimes it could be that, well, it's just false positive. There may actually be nothing to correct, but whatever it is anyway, whether it is something to take seriously or just for informational purpose, you see the error here, and then they are now, oh, this is it, let's go and correct it, so that by the next time you run, this is not actually the testing, the analysis, hopefully you're able to reduce the number of errors to something that is within the minimum range that the organization will allow to pass to this. All right, guys, so that's essentially the project for today, and which was to use freestyle to build what are we building? Build Java code using Maven into Artifact. And in addition to that, being able to publish and view code analysis report. We just saw that, how we built code analysis reports for PMD, FindBug, and Freestyle, and how we're able to view it to say, oh, this code is behaving well, or it's not too good, too many errors compared to the benchmark for finding bugs and so on. All right, so like I said earlier on, in operations, Jenkins may not necessarily be the best tool for that purpose. You may want to use a more robust, a more specific tool for this purpose. And one of such tools is Donati, right? For code analysis and even deeper jobs than just analyzing code. All right, guys, so that's what we just saw here, and so on and so on. All right, let's see. We still have time. We still have 15 minutes. Let's see if we can do one more project. We'll just leave all of this theory so that it doesn't become boring. Just go straight to project. Project 2. So far, we have done what we call, with Jenkins, we have done a freestyle project, right? Freestyle project. Now, let us do a new project. Let's complete a new project. This project will no longer be freestyle. We are going to use codes, pipeline. We are going to deploy this project using pipeline. In other words, codes will deploy this project. So if we call this project 3, and this time we are saying pipeline instead of freestyle. So we take pipeline instead of freestyle. Here, we want to deploy the project using code, not by clicking like we did before. All right, so let's configure. So we go down, we say build trigger, later. So this time we are doing pipeline. Where would Jenkins get the pipeline from? Jenkins should go and get this pipeline from our source code manager. Where's our source code manager? It's our GitHub, all right? So our source code manager will be connected to using Git, and it's right here. Which code do we want to build now? Let's see, what code do we want to build? Let's go and look for code to build. In fact, this project says, okay, let's still build the same DevOps basics. So if we go to our repository, I will go to the iTern. I guess this is too difficult for some people, so this is meant to just give you an overview. It's not the detailed training. The detailed training, the classroom training equivalent of this would really explain things from scratch, but this is just giving you the overview of this is the result that you're expected to get. All right, so for interview purpose. So let's look for our repositories. So let's come back here. And then which one are we building? Let's build this one. Let's build that one. You're welcome. And then we take this and then we say, this is what we want to build. So let's copy that once again. And then we'll come back to Jenkins. Where's Jenkins now? Come back to Jenkins and present that. All right. Then we'll present the username and password. And then we'll say build the master. All right. Now, that's about all. So where would Jenkins now get the code from to run in order to build this artifact? All right. So once again, this is the code right here. So the pipeline script that Jenkins will look for to run and build this artifact is already represented here. Look at it, Control C. Once again, generated either by ChatGPT or any other AI or taken from the documentation and customized. So if I take this, Control C, I'm going to present it as part of the source code. So if I go to the source code, where I have directed Jenkins to go and pick the code, I am going to come here to a particular file called Jenkins server. It must be that file. So I go to Jenkins server. So I click the file Jenkins server, look at it, and I click edit, and I paste the code here. So this is my pipeline. So when I say Jenkins pipeline, or I say Jenkins file, I'm talking about the same thing. So my Jenkins pipeline must be copied and pasted right here in Jenkins file. So my Jenkins file contains my Jenkins pipeline. Look at it. What we copied from here, we paste here. So what is this pipeline saying? This Jenkins file, this pipeline saying, build this code. To build this code, you will need Java. Go and pick Java from my Java. You will need Maven. Go and pick Maven from my Maven and build this code using the agent that is available, the server that is available. As for the username and password that you need to access the repository, I have already presented it where you can find it. So that's the meaning of this part. The credentials to access the repository, the username and password, I've given you how to get it. All right. And then once you have access to the code, you are going to compile the code, and then you are going to do code review on the code, and ultimately you are going to package, in other words, build the code into artifact. This is what I need you to do. But the difference now is that we are now presenting all of this info in the form of scripts. This is what you call automation. Every time we are using code or script, rather than clicking like we did the first time, we call that automation. All right. So now that we have presented the pipeline to Jenkins as a Jenkins file, in other words, Jenkins now knows where to get the pipeline from to build the code into artifact, then we are ready. We are ready to go. So now that everything is there, let us go back to Jenkins and ask Jenkins to build the code using the pipeline. So if we come back to Jenkins now, I will say save. We are now ready to build. Right? So it comes back here, and this time we are going to say build the code now using the pipeline. Right? So that is building. We can actually view in a different format. Pipeline. Yeah, we can view in this format. All right. So the code review is completed, the packaging is completed, and that pipeline successfully deployed, right? All the way from start to finish, Jenkins was able to run the pipeline and successfully completed the project, all right? So we now have our package. In other words, the code has now been built into Artifact. All right? 50, we have only 7 minutes. Okay, so this is where we'll stop now. So that is how to use Jenkins to deploy projects. Whether you are deploying the project as freestyle, which means you are doing it on the graphic user environment, clicking stuff, or you are deploying the project as pipeline, which means the codes to run the project are already written. Just copy the codes, give the code to the save the code in the repository as Jenkins file, and then tell Jenkins to go there and use that code to build the project. All right. So if you want to see the project that you just built on project 3, if you come back to project 3, and then you see the sign saying that this was successfully built, you can always get the details about where that code is saved. Right? If you scroll down all the way, again, web app, project 3. All right? If we go this time, if we go to target, Control C and get there. So if we go back to Jenkins server, and then we say, actually we are there already. If we do ls -l, we are going to see, let's go back one thing. Yes. No, this for project 1. We're not interested in project 1. We're interested in project 3. So let's go back to the CD. Then CD for project 3. All right. CD for project 3. All right. So we are there. ls-l shows us target. So we'll go in. So every time we create a new project, it is always saved in the directory target. So CD target ls-l shows us that we have in project 3 the artifact web app.war. Coincidentally, it's all the same name, but they are different projects. We want to see all of the projects that we have worked with today. CD 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 ls-l. Look at all the projects. We completed project 1, we completed project 2, we completed project 3. So each of the projects would have its own artifact. If we go into project 1, we'll see the web app.war for project 1, the same for project 2, and so on and so forth. So this web app.war is the ultimate, is the final result from the building of the project. And this is what we are taking from continuous integration, from this part of development. We are taking this artifact. Let's go there. We are taking this artifact, and this, like we said earlier, is what we are taking from here onwards to deploy into our operation. However, we need to first of all convert this artifact to application. And that is where the concept of Docker, containerization, conversion of artifacts to application, that is where that comes. All right, so we're going to learn how to convert this from artifact to application, and then ultimately deploy that into operation. All right, guys, so that's all we can take today. So having done this now, we are done with today's practice. So what do? The infrastructure that we created, we want to destroy them all so that we are not being, this infrastructure are not live, and then we are being built permanently for it. So in order to terminate all of this, we go back, we move from our remote server in cloud, which is Jenkins, We move from there to our local terminal from where we initiated and provisioned the infrastructure. And then we'll come back to everything we did earlier on. But this time, instead of saying create infrastructure, we are going to say destroy. Terraform destroy auto approve. Right? So it will destroy all of our servers and everything that we created using the Terraform manifest. If we press enter now, everything will just go down one. Again, if we were to go to cloud and begin to look for the resources